Eve, welcome back to Drama Alert Nation, where over the past few days, Duncan Kneedeep has called out every Draft League community with some blanket statements, saying that there is never any drama in these things. And I'm going to tell you why he's right. And people are going to be like, what? You're taking Duncan's side? Huh? I don't even have a Twitter account. Like, I have to manually go through Duncan's tweets and get a few things to get people going. The first thing is, one, it's very easy to be removed from a community and then say my past interactions with this community are negative, or there's always drama in leagues and things like that. And I think what a lot of us want to do is we want to come under this protectionist racket. No, there's no draft league drama where I am. No, maybe when you were in this league it was drama. Maybe it's changed. And I think that drama is unnecessarily a bad thing. In fact, if you read something like 13 Rules for Life, Jordan Peterson often talks about that a lot of the times people are soft because they don't deal with the conflict or dramas that occur. And I think in Draft League... Whoa. Sorry, I just spilled a bit of my post-workout drink. Is that drama keeps tension alive, and the drama can be whatever you perceive it to be. It could be someone using a slur, it could be someone calling someone out, it could be ad hominem attacks, it could be a matter of disagreeing opinions. And that's where we're really, you need to be careful with any interaction that you have with anyone else, because it can become misconstrued. And that's where Duncan, I think, is very right. That there is a lot of drama in Draft Leagues communities, because in any individual-based format I found, whether that's going to the gym, for example, team sports, where, you look at some of my friends who made reserve grade or college football, there is a lot of drama around who gets picked and why, which is very reminiscent of when people don't pick into draft leagues or not. Now, there are a few points that I think that Duncan doesn't necessarily hit the nail on the head, but I think that the arguments that were made based upon what he said and how he said it is technically right. So the first point is, with the NBL that he did, he had I think he had 4 world title recognized in the pool, right? So 3 of them were Ray Rizzo. Another one was attributed to Wolfie Glick. Now, what a lot of draft league players, I think, and people that don't play VGC misconstrue is that unofficial formats that aren't endorsed by the Pokemon Company seem, in Duncan's opinion to me, to having less weight. And that's really showed by, there's a Dr. Slaking tweet. Oh, I can't find it. Oh, I just need a Twitter account. If anyone wants to do all this, I can't be bothered. But yeah, so essentially, let's see if it's on... let's see. Dr. Slaking, Twitter. Okay, so... let's see if we can find it. Dr. Slaking, YouTube. Look how organized I am. Yeah, this one, Matthew, Dr. Slaking. Okay. So... Okay, let's have a look. This is pretty cringe. Okay, but essentially, Dr. Slaking's like, well, in CGT we have some of the most competitive players, but again, we only look at what's being recognized by the community. And that's where you'll have issues with anything that's community organized in Draft League. Any player that shows up is unofficially recognized as the best of players that opted in to a competition to play a series of games where the format of how you have finalists or champions occurs. So for example, I was looking at the SBS, and the SBS had a champion that was 7th seed for last season. Now let's say, for example, you play in a league that only has the top 4 players go through, I think I did that with NBA one season. That top, or it might be top 6, if you have the top 6 go through, that 7th seed doesn't necessarily win the league. Now, am I saying that 7th seed is a bad player? No, what I'm actually saying is that the person who was 7th seed is a good player and is recognized by the league as a champion. However, that connotation, that championship may not be attributed to them if the league structure or format was different. And I think each league has its own uniqueness and intricacies. So by using Duncan Knee Deep's own example of recognizing world championships as a qualifier of the best league, it makes a lot of sense in NBL, which is a doubles-based league, which had some of the best doubles players. I think from memory as well, it had like Jamie Boyd, who's won multiple regionals. Wolfie is arguably, rated as one of the best of all time in VGC. So many titles, I can't bother to list them. Same as Ray Rizzo, and they also had other big-named VGC players, like Aaron Cybertron Zhang, and they also had Marcus Stater, who is a very old-school player. Now, when we say let's recognize those championships, the only singles format league I've seen Wolfie Glick compete in is the WBE. But it doesn't seem to be mentioned in the same light when people come and attack. Well, the championships argument that you're using, we have like 8 champions playing in our league. People don't sort of say more like, you played in the WBE, which had some of the big, had Wolfie Glick, where we have not seen another season of a world champion who's recognized officially for being the best in the format that year, playing in a draft league-based setting. So I think the argument to me was misconstrued because people are trying to defend their own leagues rather than try to go further with the dialogue with Duncan. A lot of people have said, like, I want a dialogue with Duncan, and Duncan has said, oh no, this has become, combative or argumentative. Now, there is a few things that I think, if you're going to argue a point about, you need to look at what is the confines of someone's original argument. So, what I disliked about the way Duncan talked about, like, the CGT League, was he pointed out, your own commissioner's disrespecting me. They're arguing with me, and they're a bad representation of your league. Now, that is guilty by association, which is a very topical thing in a lot of historical pieces. In fact, when I was in my final year of school, we looked at Albert Speer. Albert Speer is a member of the Nazi Party who is formerly known as the Nazi who said sorry. And what it became really down to was he was one of the few Nazis that wasn't persecuted, yet he was later to be discovered to be one of the highest ranking ones. And again, it comes down to that guilty by association. Now, to me, what I think with any draft league format is it's dependent upon who says what. So if Duncan Knee-Deep if Duncan Can't Die, I remember him more as Duncan Knee-Deep than Duncan Can't Die. So if Duncan Can't Die says, the leagues I've been involved in have had drama, and I find the draft league community very toxic, that's fine. That's Duncan's own opinion. Without him providing context, screenshots, information on that sense, I think that he's entitled to that opinion. There are people I know that have played Draft League and have told me they really dislike it because of some of those similarities that Duncan says. However, there's other people I know that say they actually like Draft League, and it enables them a format to play with some of their favorite Pokemon because the point-based fantasy system resonates, one, with them because they're a sports fan, and fantasy, draft league, and football is a thing that's common in a lot of countries across the world. That concept, whether that's like Australia with rugby league, whether that's America with the NFL, whether that's England with EPL, there's a whole range of this concept around the world, and it gives people an opportunity to branch out into selecting some of their favorite Pokemon, and then there's multiple different avenues to play the game. And what upsets me is there's a lot of ad hominem attacks. Like, even on my screen, you don't need a master's in genetics to spot when someone has a bitch genes. What does that actually accomplish? What are you trying to point out? Are you saying that Duncan's not arguing against your points? Are you saying that, like, you're right, you're wrong? This is a person who, I kid you not, Dr. Slaking the other day said, Wi-Fi Draft League, we are boring, not entertaining, and Draft League has flocked to this Duncan Can't Die drama. In fact, it's probably the most entertaining thing that's happened in the Wi-Fi draft scene in a long time. Why? Because people are on the edge of their seats. In fact, Duncan is very much promoting Draft League. If you're someone who likes hyper-competitiveness, likes a no-hold-barred viewpoint, and you may not necessarily align or fit into other tournaments, you can play in Draft League. But it's a double-edged sword, right? Because then, by focusing in on the drama, we give Duncan more of a platform to do things, to say these things. I'm not going to go through every tweet, but the ad hominem attacks is just insane. To me, the best way to think about it is Duncan is right. His opinion is right. Draft League has drama, and anyone who comes and attacks him further strengthens his points that Draft League is a protectionist rally, that all we're trying to do is to defend our own egos, hyper-competitive natures, and our own experience. I've got a question, right? If Duncan tweeted, "I don't like people who like chocolate ice cream," would you stop liking chocolate ice cream? And what if then the next point of that argument was, "I don't like chocolate ice cream because I'm lactose intolerant," which is to say, well, because you're lactose intolerant, you don't like ice cream and therefore don't like chocolate. It's like different strokes for different folks. Like, there's a reason Pornhub has so many different categories. It's not just like straight missionary, because that's what their Catholics like. So what you want to look at is that draft leagues, have evolved, and Duncan's like, "I'm going to expose the community." What does Duncan get out of this? What does he get? He gets viewership. And when they say, "Oh, ableist shit drama farmers from the draft league community," with all the BT behind the screenshots that prove that they were lying and dogpiling from the start, this shit is wild. Again, by having so many people try to argue with Duncan, again, it gives him this mentality of dogpiling mentality, and he gives you a platform to defeat you. It's like, yeah, come on my stream. Let's do it right here, right now. And you're in there, but there's like 5 guys that hold you back. Because, did you see the chat not agree with me? And it's like, of course. So Duncan is right. But, why are we arguing with him? Why are we focusing in on it? Well, because we're so obsessed with our own image that we neglect the other parts. So, for example, I did not know Duncan Can't Die had extreme PTSD yesterday, and I also learnt today that extreme versions of PTSD can cause seizures. So, if I was to ever argue with Duncan, I would always be mindful of those two facts. In fact, if he tweets out that he doesn't want to take his medication because it enables or heightens the risk of him having seizures, there's no point in arguing with him with that. Again, it's something that works for him. And again, just because he has, these things, there's no point bringing them up in the argument. It really reminds me of the Joe Weller versus KSI when they went to that boxing match. Joe Weller's like, and KSI's like, "Stay off the drugs, bro. Are you calling antidepressants drugs? Are you calling antidepressants drugs?" It's like, it's a bit of a stretch, isn't it? I really don't know too much about this intolerant paradox. I think as well, it's just taking the narrative a lot further away from what it needs to be. The narrative should be, draft leagues, I don't like. This is my personal opinion because they seem to be filled with drama. However, there has been a minute part of the community when I've run like my sub-only tours or had people that seem to have the same ideas or ideologies, I seem to like that side of draft. But it's not. And the conversation here that we've gotten up to is so far it is so far removed from so far removed from the original thing. Like, I can't even see these tweets, but it's a great it's great. Like, oh, hang on, here we go. Papa Trex, like, these are the things. Let's have a look. Twitter. See, this is what I mean. Like, this is all public platforms. Like, I heard one of the points was, "Oh, I didn't want to take it public, man." And Duncan's like, "Well, why'd you subtweet me?" It's like, very good point. Yeah. So, like, look, this is a tweet from Duncan at the start of this month. And people are saying it's not good content, They've always drama-filled messages with people like the Eagles getting away the point of video games, which is to have fun, to the extent they ruin friendships. What a point that Duncan's trying to make. He's trying to educate us. We should be taking that as an education. Because to me, Duncan is really trying to educate us. Now, the issue that some of them had, and I've listened to the Onesie Burnett audio, and that to me was just a train wreck. Again, what are we arguing? Oh, I backtrack. Well, I'm standing still. You keep backtracking. I'm right, you're wrong. Again, there's just so many points of just generalist debate that has been missed. Let's say the points, right? Like, okay, draft. Okay, let's look at this tweet, right? Don't do draft leagues. I personally like draft leagues. I'll play draft leagues. They're always drama-filled messes where people let their egos get in the way of the point of video games, which is to have fun. Do I find video games a fun outlet? Yes, I do. But do I also enjoy the endorphin hit of winning Pokemon games that shouldn't really affect me too much, but I definitely love the endorphin rush? Yes, I do. Does sometimes what I say when I've won a battle or in the heat of the moment misconstrue my own personality? Yes, it does. To the extent they ruin friendships. I have made lots of friends in Draft League communities, and there has been things that I've done that have ruined them over futile things, because, again, it's very hard when there's other just general points about, like, the anonymity on the internet, people say things without real things, and they're not even good content. So, what is good content? Can you give us a definition of what good content is? Because what you consider good content is going to vary by so many other people. I read a message in a Discord where someone said, Joey said that the effort that goes into Draft League content is a lot more than doing Showdown. That's why he won't do, Draft League anymore. I was like, fair enough. And again, it comes down to that personal opinion. As I said, like, if Duncan tweets out, I don't like chocolate ice cream, you wouldn't be like, why don't you like chocolate? What's your favorite color? Oh, I don't like the color red. It's like, okay, why don't you like the color red? Like, you need to look into what is this argument. And to me, what Duncan really said is nothing. Like, Duncan has said a few things that, to me, like, let's look at some things, try DMs. Again, this then becomes the argument about, paradox of tolerance. It's like, well, why are we arguing about this? Like, it's so far. I generally don't. I tried hard in DMs. I really did. Just gotta, like, the shades. Like, see what I mean? It's all these, like, see what I mean? There's, like, this is just dog pile. This is but because Duncan doesn't engage or promote those things, it's not a dog pile. So look, here's another good one. Gravy. Hey man, I gotta ask you, you're supporting Duncan with the bullshit that's been going on. What do you mean? The ableist stuff? What do you mean the bullshit? Just say it. If you don't like chocolate ice cream, you don't like chocolate ice cream. Your opinion on that matter. There's currently messages being sent to Duncan that are only fueling the drama. That really doesn't need to continue. I've always had nothing but time for you. Pun someone intended. Ha ha ha, very funny. It's not to help anyone to keep this shit going, especially over something that's saying, don't do Draft League. Well, I don't really know what the ableism stuff is, because I think it's a bit of a cop-out in terms of what this argument narrative has become. Like, the paradox of intolerance, so if I don't like ableism jokes, you are fine with calling me a bitch boy. I'll bark for you. Woof, woof. I'll bark. I'm one of those little chihuahuas. You keep me in my handbag, Duncan. I'm in the handbag. And, again, this is just something that fuels the fire. If you don't want to see it, don't partake. And if you don't want to, get called out because you're a little bitch boy, which is such a weird insult to me. You little bitch. It's really interesting that the word bitch is so, glorified here as an insult, considering that the connotations of, hey, bitch, it normally refers to someone's property, which means that you're okay with women ownership, and then for you're supporting slavery by using the word bitch boy. But, it could be interpreted as just saying that, you don't have the characteristics of a human you're more akin to the characteristics of a dog. It's just so many things, and I'll get called out for it, but it's funny. So, Duncan is right. Now, how do we as a community move past this? To me, the thing is, always, you need to believe in the heart of the cards. That's the first thing. And secondly, you need to think about what you like. In fact, if Duncan Can't Die tweeted tomorrow, I don't like chocolate ice cream. The worst video I ever seen. Would I regret doing it? Probably not. I probably regret the part I talked about Albert Speer. That might be a little bit ooh. But it's a very important thing, I think, to think about, because it's ironic that Duncan has said in his video, he said, oh, I don't need anyone else to fight my battles, but he needs people to support him to fight his battles. It's like saying, I don't need someone to fight my battles, I just need the ammo for the tank. And this is what Luke Time did. Gave him the ammo for the tank. And that's where I think, that's just... So let's go have a quick look at this. I'm going to have to edit. Please show me where I'm not ableist. Never been ableist. I've never been ableist. I do. Okay. So what did we learn? We learned that a bitch is a good argument. Oh my goodness. Like, see, this is like, what's the point of this argument? These are two irrelevant people in the draft community arguing about stupid things. Like, again, see what's happening. Get the full story. There are so many bigger things in this community. Duncan has been on his masters in genetics that he received at the Mesa Academy. He's got a wife. Like, this is something that the Draft League community learned in 2018. In fact, I get a Snapchat memory every year telling me, do you remember this? And I think, as I said, I did not like chocolate ice cream because I didn't like the person I became. I didn't like chocolate ice cream because at the time I stopped having fun with Draft League. I didn't like chocolate ice cream because what I learned is that if you look at people that are like genuinely so much smarter, better than me, like someone like Stephen Bartlett. Stephen Bartlett has a really interesting quote where he's like, when you get into a fight with someone and you're angry, mad, and upset, and someone's made you angry, you're the loser because you enabled them to allow you to be angry at. So what I want you to consider, let's just like what we like, let people have their opinions. Look, this could have been Drama Tuesday in an hour and it's done. Duncan doesn't like Draft League. Good job. I hope we'd never have to see that opinion again. He's been on that same opinion since 2018. Doesn't like Draft League, the drama that's involved in it. It's not good content. He thinks it detracts from what video games are about, which is fun and friendships and community. So let's have that opinion. And then let's look at your own little box and say, why is that opinion so important? If I don't like chocolate ice cream, why don't you like chocolate ice cream? Alright, peace. Remember, always love chocolate ice cream.